Let's talk team needs for the AFC South. Let's kick things off with the last division champion, the
Indianapolis Colts.
The Clots, yes.
The Clots. Is that what people say?
I think so.
Good.
Yeah, hashtag Clots.
So what is a concern for you?
For me, what jumps out is offensive guard. Trent Richardson, of course, has looked tentative behind the line. He's looked crappy. But part of that is because holes aren't developing, and that's from the interior line. Their projected starters are Hugh Thornton, who struggled as a rookie, and Donald Thomas, who's coming off a season-ending injury, torn quad.
Yeah.
They can use an infusion of talent there.
Yes.
I'd like to see a talented guard early in the draft. And, of course, strong safety. They lost Antoine Bethea in free agency. Those are the two biggest needs for them. Obviously, they're set at quarterback for a long time.
Sure.
Pretty good defensive line as well, but those are the two big holes.
Yeah, and not a terrible worry on either side, but especially with, you have Jacksonville, you have Houston rebuilding, so they can take a little bit of time. But I think they're going to be good at those spots sooner rather than later.
They want to be a running team. They're going to need to build up that line a bit.
Yes. All right, next team up, the Titans of Tennessee. A lot of people feel probably better than what they've shown.
Yeah, they're kind of a mediocre team that was led by a very good defense last year. They lost Altron Werner in free agency.
Lockdown, yeah.
Jason McCourty's going to do well on one side, but they could use a cornerback opposite him.
Yep.
Also, transitioning to the 3-4, they need some outside linebackers. Akeem Ayers has one side locked down, but Cameron Windley's been a disappointment. Zach Brown struggled a little bit.
His band is great,
though. His band is great.
They're
Fantastic
rocking.
musician. Maybe should focus on football a bit more. But
You'd like to see that.
Yeah, and of course, running back, assuming Chris Johnson leaves, you're not going to get by with a Sean Green, Jackie Battle.
Right, there's value always in third, fourth, fifth round. They'll be fine there. And Jacksonville.
The Jaguars.
Everything.
Yes. Yeah. Obviously, we don't need to focus on quarterback too much.
Right.
Chad Henne, probably not the guy to lead you to championship.
No.
Ricky Stanzi, immensely talented, just needs a chance.
Very patriotic.
So let's focus on the offensive line. They gave up 50 sacks last year, second worst in the NFL. The left side's going to be okay. They've got Luke Jokel, last year's top pick.
Right.
And they got Zane Beadles in free agency. They now have 2/5 of a line. They need to get the center and the entire right side.
Build that wall for whoever is that quarterback next year.
Exactly. And, of course, let's see. Cornerback was a weakness on defense. Outside linebacker. Wide
there are
receiver,
a lot of places. But that defense isn't terrible. It showed signs a lot.
And with Gus Bradley, that defensive-minded coach from the Seattle Seahawks, there's promise there.
They're going to be all right. Let's round it out. Houston, help everywhere as well, almost.
Well, I don't want to say everywhere because this was a playoff team until injuries and utter collapse last year. Matt Schaub obviously going to the Raiders. They need a quarterback, and that seems to be the obvious hole at the beginning of the draft. But they could use some help at offensive line, particularly left guard and right tackle. Derek Newton was a turnstile at right tackle last year. They could use an upgrade there.
No, obviously the offensive talent outside of quarterback there.
Yes.
And Andre Johnson, Nuke Hopkins, Aaron Foster.
Let's talk about defensive line. People see it as a strength because of J.J. Watt being one of the best defensive players in the game.
The man's on an island.
Only have 5 defensive linemen on that roster right now. And of those not named J.J. Watt, they have 3 NFL starts among them.
This many. 3.
That is not a lot of starts for 4 players to have.
Doesn't feel right.
Those are your AFC South team needs, and that was this week's episode of Future Consideration. Once again, that's Dan. He knows college football.
That's Matt. He's our NFL guy.
We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.